Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. It's the winter movie preview. Fortunately, it's that time of year again up here in Canada. We're deep in it already. It's not even December, but it's all good. We're tough, and it definitely could be worse. As I just want to start the video out by sending my strongest prayers of love, peace, strength, safety, perseverance, just absolutely all the best, strongest energy I can to everybody that is being affected by these awful, just brutal wildfires that are raging in California right now. But it's already claimed. The death, the number, unfortunately, the death toll keeps rising, and the number of missing keeps rising, and the number of property, areas damaged keeps rising. So we really need to pray for the safety and perseverance of these firefighters, these first responders that are on the front lines trying to keep things from keep the fire from spreading, and try some way to put it out. And these forest fires are just, they're brutal. They just get their fuel from so many different places. It's almost impossible to try and stop them. But these guys have all the knowledge and all the best, skills and all the heroism to be out there to be the best ones to be trying to stop this stuff. So we just pray that that they get some rain to help out with these fires, and just get whatever kind of weather. I mean, but the 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 lack of rain, and the conditions that were deteriorating are part of the reason why this fire started, and why it's been spreading so much, and why it's so bad. So that's the thing. That's why we have to, climate change is not some fairy tale. It's not a myth. I mean, the climate on the planet will change regardless of humans, but we can help it. We can speed it up. We can make it worse. And, that's what we're doing in situations like this. Like, it doesn't have to be that bad, not even close. If we just, paid a little bit more attention and put a little bit more effort, things would be turned around, and, just areas like that wouldn't be as susceptible to forest fires and things like that. So it's it's not a myth. It's something that we need to really care about and focus on, to make sure that these tragedies like this don't happen. And if they do arise, they're not as big and as severe, and can be stopped. And I mean, because this one is just a raging, and like, it's just, I just send all my strongest love and prayers to the people that are of California that have already been affected by this, and are being affected by it right now. And just everything we can do to support and help you, we definitely will. And just don't be afraid. Like, people that are going through it, don't be afraid to lean on others for help in this time of need, because the loss of the feeling of not being able to go home, that feeling it's a very significant emotion. It has a very significant impact on mental health. So it's just, the don't let as many burdens as you can let other people carry. I mean, I know sometimes we don't like to, excuse me, we don't like to ask for help in these situations, and we like to do it all ourselves. But don't just, just please, just lean on the people that are around you to get you through this. And it's just, you don't need unnecessary burdens on you. And if people can help take them off you, then just definitely allow them to do that. So just wanted to start the video off by sending my strongest love and prayers out there to just everybody that's dealing with these just awful fires. So hopefully they get them out soon, and everybody can they can start to pray that they track down every single one of these missing people safe and sound. They're somewhere. They're just and then can get this forest fire put out, and get back to rebuilding things, and to making sure that things like this don't happen again. So I just want to start the video out like that. Because as much as winter sucks for us up here sometimes, it could definitely be worse. And there is lots to appreciate about winter. I mean, the extreme cold kills a lot of the bad crap in the air, and it doesn't allow things to doesn't allow certain things to stay around. And so you just, there's nothing like getting a breath of fresh air out in the when the winter, when it's not too it's not too cold where you're like freezing your lungs. But it's just that air, just that time, that perfect temperature where you go out, and it's just like a nice, cool, crisp breath of fresh air. Like, there's nothing that is, I mean, some people might think like, well, who cares? But man, it's a very significant thing, and it's just the scenery and the things of winter. It sucks driving, but lots to appreciate. And one of the things that helps, the winter months pass by is movies, going out to a picture show. But always one of the things that. One of the things I look forward to about the winter is all the movies that come down, especially towards the end of the year. People are movie studios are trying to get the Oscar buzz, and it's a really good time for lots of holidays around there. Obviously, Christmas and stuff, Christmas holidays for the kids, so it's and everybody in school, so. It's a big time of year for studios to put out some big movies, and we obviously as the audience reap the benefits, and we got a pretty good slate coming at us this year for these winter this year for the winter. But just to quickly wrap up the summer, talk a little bit about it. I thought it was a really good summer. 2018 summer box office I thought was really good, not only quality wise for the movies I saw, but I think it did pretty good. But I think did pretty good at the box office as well. I'm not sure if it set a record, but I think it was pretty close up there. So it was great performances from the movies, and I did pretty good at first seeing everything. But as the summer went on, I traveled to Vancouver, and there were other events that kind of took money and time away. So fell off a little bit towards the end of the summer with the movies that I saw, but I've got got lots of them on a good few of them were released on Steelbook, so I got those coming too, and I'll be checking those out. And then as they're released, they'll be coming down the on-demand and Netflix and things like that. So I'll be checking everything out. But the ones that I did see were really, really good. Obviously, Solo and Infinity War, I love those two. Which ones did I see recently? Mission Impossible Fallout, awesome movie. They did a really great job with that, especially with the whole opening sequence, twists and turns, things. That was so great, so awesome. So, yeah, and I missed the last one, and I kind of forgot that the opening scene is usually those that twists and turns with the aha kind of ending. So caught me a little bit off guard. So it was just but the movie as a whole I thought was just really great. Story was good, easy to follow, and the action was just awesome, off the charts. So thought they did a great job with that movie. And but I mean, missed out on a lot of movies I want to see at the end there. Ant-Man and the Wasp, unfortunately, I haven't seen yet. Skyscraper, Ocean's 8 got it on got it on Steelbook. Thankfully, they gave it a Steelbook release, but haven't watched it yet. So, but kind of waiting for the winter to send us all inside, and then I'm start to watch catch up on all the movies and everything like that. But thought it was a really good summer, and but now heading into the winter, it looks like we're in for should be in for another good run to get through these winter months. And so I'll start it off with November, and already had a bunch of good movies released in November, but I'll just focus on the movies that are coming up. And we got a big 5-day weekend coming up with American Thanksgiving. And 3 big movies are being released, I think, all on the Wednesday. So that is going to be a big time fight for that 5-day crown, which is kind of, I mean, it's good that we get three big movies released at the same time. But on the other hand, it's like kind of sucks for these studios, because I'm sure it'd be all 3 of these movies would definitely be able to stand on their own and pull in a great weekend, I think, without the fierce competition that they're going to face coming up. But so coming up on Wednesday for the 5-day weekend, we got Creed 2 first up. Man, I cannot wait for this movie. This is going to be continuing the story of Adonis Creed and his rise through the boxing ranks. And but now his story has taken him right into the path of the son of Ivan Drago, which, man, I love that. It's Rocky 4. Probably, if you press me to settle on one of the Rocky movies, that's my favorite. I think I'd probably have to say Rocky 4. I've watched that one the most. I just love it. I love, start to finish. I love the training sequences. I just love the, even when you've watched it a thousand times, it's still seeing the build up for that big fight between Rocky and Drago. It's like, man, it's just one of the best. Definitely up, definitely probably most mentioned is one of the favorite Rocky movies. But I'm really really looking forward to this one. I love that they got Dolph Lundgren back to reprise his role as Ivan Drago, and now it's his son is now rising in the boxing ranks and obviously going to come head to head with Adonis Creed. So it's this is some people might like, oh yeah, of course they're boxers, and they're, but I mean, who wants to watch a movie about a timeline where Ivan Drago's son's an accountant or something like that? No, I'm not throwing shade on accountants or anything, but I'm just saying that, like, this is I'm glad that I'm glad they're going the route of bringing in, Ivan Drago's son and doing that story, because that creates a lot of great story elements, creates a lot of good struggle for Adonis Creed to overcome. So it's and Michael B. Jordan has just done an awesome job portraying the character. And the first movie was awesome, a great just not a step down at all for the other Rocky movies. It's and that is saying something, because obviously Rocky movies set the highest bar as far as sports movies, but but Creed did an awesome job in establishing this franchise going forward. So hopefully this movie does really well and they make some money, because it's the Rocky story. It's such a great story, and it's so great for the big screen. It's so entertaining. So I'm glad that it can continue after Sylvester Stallone obviously can't have fights on the screen anymore, but he can still be there and supporting. And I'm really dreading the day that they the Rocky character has his last fight, so to speak. But I'm just hoping that people really start to, I'm really hoping this movie does well, so we can continue with the Creed movies and keep the story going, because they do a great job with the boxing sequences. Like, I can't wait for the Adonis Creed. I forgot the name of his Ivan Drago's son in the movie, but I can't wait for that fight. Like, they've done a great job choreographing all the fight scenes in the first movie, so I think they'll be able to take what they learned in the first movie and just raise that bar even higher with this one. And for me, the Rocky movies are synonymous with winter, Christmas time, because my dad, always a huge fan. Christmas Day, he would find a channel that was playing the Rocky Marathon, because pretty usually there's at least one channel showing a Rocky Marathon, and if there wasn't, we'd pull out the VHS tapes and put them in and watch them one after the other, all four of them, and then adding Rocky Balboa after that. Rocky Balboa is such a great film. It was so great that it was like it almost was brought down by having the boxing fight in it at the end. It was I never thought they could do a Rocky movie without a fight, but they totally proved me wrong with the first 3/4 of that movie. And by the time the fight came, I'm like, man, this movie doesn't need it. Like, this is a great movie already, and just a story of Rocky Balboa after boxing, and the death of Adrian, and that just seemed like exactly what Rocky would have been doing, running a restaurant and just telling stories every night. And it's so it was that was a great addition to the Rocky universe, and now Creed and Creed 2. So really looking forward to seeing Creed 2. We'll definitely be seeing that with my pops. We're going to be out there definitely through the opening 5 days. So hopefully this one does well and they can continue forward with the Creed and the Rocky story. But man, another movie that's opening on the same day, Ralph Breaks the Internet, aka Wreck-It Ralph 2, and man, it's like, yeah, the Wreck-It Ralph is probably have to say my favorite animated movie of all time. I love it. Loved it when it came out, and I've watched it. I'll definitely watch it on my own. I don't need the niece and nephew around to pull it out, man, because it is just such a great story. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's it pulls at your heartstrings. It's like, you show me someone that doesn't have a tear come up when Ralph is thinks he's falling down and gonna save everybody, and it's like, man, you show me someone that doesn't have a tear, and I'll show you a cyborg with a hollow tin chest. Man, that is that is just a great scene, but great movie, and I'm really glad that they figured out a good story to bring Ralph back on the big screen, and looks like this one is this one's gonna have Ralph going into the internet to try and find a part to save Vanellope's game Sugar Rush. So, I mean, the potential of what Ralph going on the internet and what he could potentially run into. Obviously, they got to keep it G-rated and for families and kids and stuff. But they can still push the envelope pretty good with as movies like Shrek and that have proved. But I'm just so pumped that they've figured out a story to bring these characters back to life, because it's to me Wreck-It Ralph deserves to be up there and mentioned with The Lion King, Aladdin, and movies like that. Just some of the greatest animated movies of all time. 'Cause they did a great job with it. Voice actors were great with it, and it was just it's just a story that immediately connects you and draws you in. So. I'm very happy that the sequel is coming. Very happy that the sequel is out, but not so happy that it has to go up against Creed 2, another movie I'm cheering pretty hard for. So, but they're definitely they are appealing to the same demographics, but there are different demographics they appeal to. So there should be enough big money to go around for both. Excuse me. But Ralph Breaks the Internet is probably gonna win the 5-day weekend and take the crown. But it's hopefully I'm just hoping that it's we get another movie with the quality on par with the first one, and then it's just because the more Wreck-It Ralph you get to me, the better, because it's just one of it might have to settle on as my favorite animated movie, but I definitely believe it deserves to have respect mentioned amongst the greats, and that's a pretty great accomplishment to have a movie that's a modern movie mentioned with some of the classics, because it's just because of the way people feel like that. It's about these old classics. It's a high bar, and it's a tough nut to crack for some of these modern movies to be mentioned. So I definitely hope that Wreck-It Ralph has that respect across across the movie world, I guess. But very looking forward to seeing this sequel. And the third movie that's going to be released in this 5-day is a new Robin Hood, and it's another version to the legend. And Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner is I'd have to say it would be on my top 10 movies of if I had to really settle on my favorite greatest movies of all time, I think it would be on there. I love that movie. I think the story is amazing, the acting's amazing, the action's amazing. It's just everything about that movie is almost pure perfection. And so obviously with that, having a very very high opinion of that movie, I'm kind of like, my initial opinion at seeing other Robin Hood movies to be like, kind of scoff at it, like, man, you'll never be as good. But I don't want to miss out on a good quality film just because I'm being an idiot about things like that. So and that led me to a great performance from Russell Crowe in his version of Robin Hood. That movie is awesome. I don't think it's as good as Prince of Thieves, but it's right up there with one of the best versions of the character. And so now this one's definitely going to be a modernized take on it. They're updating it for to appeal to the modern audiences. But and so at first I was kind of like, what is this? What is it? But I caught myself. I'm like, don't I might miss out on a good fun quality film just because I'm like, it's not it's not the old days were better. It's like you gotta shake that off sometimes, just let yourself appreciate some of the stuff. So I'm going to give this new Robin Hood a chance and try and see it in theaters, because I love the Robin Hood story and the character. So, so if they do a good job with this, I'll be more than happy to add it to my movie collection to watch, because like I say, I love the Robin Hood story. So hopefully they create a great version of this. And from the TV spots that I've seen, it looks like it should be fun. Jamie Foxx is in it as too as Little John, so that's a nice take on it. So I think it's going to be a good fun action movie, but lots of competition with Creed 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet. So hopefully enough money to go around for all three, and make back their budgets and a little profit, so they can keep the story going if there's more room for more, or at least have some. Be able to consider their movie a success or whatever. It sucks that that success is so tied to money, but it's a 5-day weekend. Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, so should be lots of time for families to go see movies, and hopefully there's enough big money for everyone to have a good weekend. But that finishes up November, bringing us into December. And just another thing, I'm not going to be. There's definitely going to be good quality movies that I'm going to miss talking about, because I just kind of went through the upcoming schedules and picked out the ones that I knew, and I tried to do a little bit of research about some of the ones that I didn't. But there's going to be lots of movies that I missed, and I didn't. I'm not really interested in horror or anything like that. I don't have anything against them, really. I mean, people love them, and it's a big part of the industry. More power to them. If people enjoy them, but I like more of a thriller. I am not into the bad guy you can't kill at all. It's like to me there needs to be. If you're gonna be, if I'm watching a movie about a bad guy or whatever, they need to be able to take it down and kill it. I'm not into these bad guy you can't kills, which is a lot of what the horror genre is. So, but lots of people enjoy them. So it's like I'm not hating on them, but it's not for me. So I'm not gonna really preview any of the movies. So all of those movies will be missing from this. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case people are like, man, there's tons of movies that you missed. But so bringing us into December, first movie coming up is Mortal Engines. And that is a Peter Jackson. I don't think he's directing it. I think he might have been, but I think he's heavily involved in producing it and bringing it to the screen. So, but man, you can sign me up for anything Peter Jackson, because after he delivered The Lord of the Rings, he gets my respect. He gets my loyalty for forever. I mean, the thing that really drives me nuts about Peter Jackson, and how the way people talk about him, it's like, now that the Lord of the Rings movies have been made, people love to sit back and criticize them and pick them apart, and this, and it didn't have this, or it had he did this, or he didn't. And I mean, some of them are definitely justified. Some of the criticisms are definitely justified. But man, people just don't remember what the landscape of Lord of the Rings was before Peter Jackson. People did not think these movies could be brought to life on the big screen. They've been read by too many people. Too many people had ideas of what the story and the characters were going to look like, and there's just no way somebody could present that in a way that would satisfy enough people to make money and for them to be successful movies. Didn't think it was happening. That's why Peter Jackson literally went around begging studios to give him money. Nobody would step up until Lionsgate, thank God. And at this point he had been beat down to pushing for 2 movies. He's like, just give me 2 movies and I can tell the story. And thankfully they were like, well, I mean, we'll do it, but only if you're willing to do 3 movies. He's like, please just let me do wait, what? 3? Yes, obviously. So, but thankfully they stepped up, and Peter Jackson delivered the most incredible, 3 of the most incredible, amazing movies that have ever been produced. And just brought this story to life in a way that nobody ever thought possible. So it's easy to sit back and criticize him now, but at the time before it happened, nobody thought it could be done. And at the time when these movies did come out, everybody loved them. And obviously not everybody, but I mean, majority loved them, and majority could appreciate them. And and he just did such a great job with presenting. At least for me, so many of the images I had in my head were it's almost like he took them right out of my brain. And part of that is because J.R.R. Tolkien was such an amazing descriptive writer that you could just, I mean, some people describe it as boring, but man, like he painted such a specific picture from his descriptions that you could see it was so easy to see his worlds in your imagination and take it, beyond the books and reading. That's why they're so popular, and that's why the movies were so popular, and that's why hopefully these TV shows will be so well done and so popular. But after Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson gets he gets my respect and loyalty forever. So I'll sign up for any of his projects, and but this one actually looks really good. The visuals look really incredible. I think it's going to be an awesome movie to see in 3D. For the um, it's going to be an awesome movie to see in 3D in the theaters, and even at home too. I wish more people, I wish more of the general population appreciated 3D technology, not only in theater but at home. For at home too, it's like it's not because 3D for movies. Man, it's not about having stuff fly at your face and having to duck about it. That's not the best part of 3D. The best thing that 3D does is create depth for what you're watching. It's basically like instead of without 3D, you're looking at a wall. You're basically looking at a wall. With 3D, you're looking at a window. Like that, like home 3D. It's such an awesome thing. It's so worth the investment for people, and it's worth it to have the glasses and sit there. And you don't notice them, but man, it's like your TV is basically flat without 3D. When you put those 3D glasses on, it's basically like your TV is like a window into the world of whatever movie you're watching, because it's like it creates depth in it. So 3D. I wish people understood that 3D is not. Because that's why I think a lot of people. Well, I don't care. I don't care about 3D. Having stuff fly at me and make it think like it's coming at me. Like flip it around. Like the best thing that 3D does is create like depth away from you, and it just like basically puts you right in that world, and it's just. I just love 3D technology so much, and I know that at least the home part of it is kind of like they're starting to. I mean, steelbooks are basically one of the only things pushing 3D anymore, and even those you're starting to see less and less releases with 3D. So, I jump on all the ones I can because it is such amazing technology and what it does, and I just think people don't realize what they're supposed to appreciate about it. So hopefully, if I can put a little bit of that out there, people will start to appreciate it a little more, and it won't go away. At least I just want it to keep. Man, at least for me, man, I hope that they keep putting it out there for home releases, because it really does add to the experience, being able to kind of add depth to the world that you're watching, and almost feel like you're right in it. Like 3D Titanic 3D in the theaters was absolutely incredible. It felt like you were in a lifeboat. When the Titanic was sinking, it felt like you were in a lifeboat watching. Like it was absolutely incredible the way they did it. I couldn't even only imagine if they had 3D cameras to shoot with back then. But this movie looks like it's going to be an incredibly like visually stunning for 3D, and I didn't really know much about it, but a little bit of research I did. It's set after a cataclysmic event that destroyed civilization as we know it. And they're trying to stop London, that has basically become this giant predator city that's on wheels that just drives around devouring anything and everyone in its path. So kind of like Mad Max, except the entire, awful city is following you around, chasing you. Seems like a really intriguing concept. I think the visuals are just going to be stunning. So, even though I don't know much about it, I think it should be a really fun movie to go see. I think the story seems like it's going to be good, and I have 100% faith in Peter Jackson that he'll be able to bring it all together for a great movie and a great experience at the theater. So, hopefully everyone checks that out, and it does big business, because Peter Jackson deserves it. And if he put a great movie together, he definitely did. All the entire crew that's responsible for that. They deserve a lot of a big weekend from it. So hopefully it doesn't fall under the radar just because it's not kind of a mainstream story or title. next movie coming up in December, man, another a big, a big, big fight of a weekend coming in December. Aquaman finally getting a release, and Aquaman has been the butt of hero jokes. Basically, I pretty much think since he's been created and came to life as a character in the comics. But I think this movie looks like it's going to put an end to all the jokes, at least for a little bit, because this movie looks like it presents Aquaman in a serious, kick-ass ways, and I don't really, like I said, I don't know too much about Aquaman. Like I never got into comic books, which kind of crazy. Like with looking at me and the things I'm interested in, and the kind of person you think I would have been interested in comics, but I don't know. I just never really connected to them, and never, I read hundreds of books as I was a kid, but never really gravitated to comics. So, but I appreciated the stories and the characters, and I like this. I watched TV shows about comics, and then when they started making movies, obviously I've been watching all the movies. So, but it sucks not really knowing a lot of some of the backstories, and who some of the characters are and what they do. And so Aquaman, pretty much my only experience with him is kind of everybody making jokes about him. But I'm looking forward to this movie. It looks the trailers and spots I've seen look good, and I just looked up kind of briefly what it's about. The underwater Atlanteans, because Atlantis, I guess, is where his domain is underwater, and the Atlanteans underwater are sick of the surface world that ravages the sea, and obviously you can see what our world has done to the oceans and sea and things like that. So this movie tells about there's a world underneath the sea that Aquaman is the protector of, and these people are not happy with how the surface world has been treating the sea, so they're ready to revolt, and Aquaman's trying to keep the peace, and obviously he's probably gonna have to deal with some significant villains, and I think this is I think it's gonna be a really fun movie, and probably not gonna finish up with the highest opening weekend totals for Marvel movies. But hopefully, I think this movie has been presented well enough that it should be able to bring in a good box office, because it's it's, even though the Aquaman character has been the butt of jokes for a long time, it looks like they've done a good job at presenting a story that people are not going to want to joke about, that they're actually going to want to go see and watch play out on the screen. So, but they have a big competition in the next offering in the Transformer series. This is kind of a prequel to all the Transformer movies. Bumblebee, one of the most popular Transformer characters, is getting his own movie, the first one to start off these kind of prequels. And this is also John Cena's big splash into Hollywood. This is his first, major big budget motion picture that's, basically, one of the big blockbusters of the year. This is the first time he's going to be able to be in it, playing one of the lead roles. So I'm excited for him. My nephew's a huge fan of Transformers, so I've seen all the trailers, and I got all the hype for this movie. So, for his sake, I'm not another thing, I never really got into Transformers as a kid. We liked action figures, and we played, Star Wars, and played everything. I mean, played with Transformers, but I wasn't like, huge. They weren't like a big. They were not definitely weren't one of the big toys in my world when I was a kid. They were just kind of there, but so I never really got into them. But my nephew has been all into them pretty much his whole life and just loves them. So for his sake, I hope the movie does really well. For John Cena, I'm hoping it does well. But it sucks that they have big competition between the two movies. Both movies I'm kind of cheering for and hoping that they do big box office, but they're gonna have, unfortunately, they're going right up against each other. But it's holiday season and two big franchises, Marvel and Transformers, so should be enough big money to go around to for both movies to have a good opening weekend. But, and then moving on for December, got a sequel to Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins Returns, And I watched this movie tons of times as a kid. It seemed like a lot of times when where we'd go for being babysat in other people's houses, they would all there was just a time where I remember people put this movie on so much. I was like, I mean, it wasn't one of my favorite movies. I mean, I could watch it and enjoy it through, but I certainly would never request it being put on. But I mean, I just remember a time where it was just always on. We saw it so many times. So it was the songs. I still remember a lot of the songs to this day. Spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And I can still replay some of the scenes in my head from the movie. So it's more on my radar than it usually would be. But it's a great fun it's a great fun movie for families. And it's a great way to bring out families for an afternoon to see the movie. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to recapture the magic of the first one. The first one is one of the most beloved movies of its time, and has retained its legendary status throughout the generations. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to recapture the magic. But from everything I've seen, it looks like they put a good cast together, and they're keeping with the story. They're going back to Mary Poppins, coming back to visit the kids that she visited in the first one, except this time they're all grown up with their own kids. So that's should be sets them up for a pretty good movie. So it'll just be interesting if they can recapture the magic that made the first one so great and popular. And last movie to round out December, probably the one that maybe the one I'm looking forward to the most, Holmes and Watson. And that's right, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly back together on the screen again, baby. It's like, man, these guys are magic together. Some people just have chemistry together, making movies and comedy and stuff, where everything they do is just gold, and they have that rapport with each other where they just know what they're gonna say. They can ad lib perfectly off each other, and that's what Ferrell and Reilly have, man. Will Ferrell's he's one of my heroes, man. One of my favorite people on the planet. I love all of his movies. And John C. Reilly. Even before he started getting into the comedy with Will Ferrell, I thought he's one of my favorite actors. Had a lot of great roles in movies I loved. So, but man, when they came together, it's just like absolute comedy gold. Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, one of the funniest, greatest comedies. So I'm really looking forward to see them getting back together for another run. And this time there's Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. So I can't wait to see what they do in this one. Story doesn't matter. Just put these two together, and they will just knock these one-liners and funny scenes out of the park. So I can't wait. I think it's open. I'm pretty sure it's opening Christmas Day. So I'm gonna try to get the family together to go that one. Maybe. I'll have to check the ratings and stuff to see if it's it may not be a family film, but it's but what either way, I'm gonna try and get out to see it because big, obviously, just huge fans of these guys, and I love the concept. Looks like it's gonna be really easy for them to create a lot of funny stuff. So I'm just glad that we're getting another movie with them together, and hopefully it's not the last one. It's just kind of the start of more of these guys teaming up together. But really looking forward to Holmes and Watson. Everybody can check it out and give them a big box office so we can keep these movies rolling. And then moving on into January, that's after the holidays, and we move and the calendar turns. The big blockbusters usually slow down as a good chunk of the world is into that, right into the heart of the winter grind as January comes in. But still some good movies coming up. One interesting movie that I saw, didn't know anything about until until I kind of checked it out. The Upside. That's a movie. That's a kind of a comedy drama coming from Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. It's like, man, that is an interesting pairing that I never would have. I don't know if I would ever pulled that pairing out of there. So that's when I heard those two names, I was like, man, that is a really interesting combination to see how they'll interact together on screen. And it seems like they got an interesting story together to do it. Movie's about a well-off quadriplegic, Bryan Cranston, and his ex-con caregiver. It's like, some people would be like, oh, of course he has to be an ex-con, but it's a true story. It's a true story. So, but But yeah, it's just about the relationship between the this this well-off quadriplegic man and his ex-con kind of caregiver. And obviously going to be lots of comedy, but it's not just your typical funny ha-ha movie. Looks like there's going to be lots of dramatic elements in it as well. But Kevin Hart, as great as a comedy actor it is, don't sell him don't sell him short. Did not mean a pun there, but it's he's a great actor, and man, comedy doesn't get the respect it deserves as far as acting goes. So, I know Kevin Hart will be able to pull off his part of it. And Bryan Cranston, one of the greatest actors, has proven himself, whether it's comedy or drama. So I thought that was a really interesting combination. I'm looking forward to seeing how they'll interact and how this movie and the story how this story plays out on screen. And another one movie, A Dog's Way Home. And the world just needs one of those happy, just happy, positive movies that you can, watch and just lose yourself in and forget about the world for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And, A Dog's Way Home, it's about, a dog's 4,000-mile journey home. So obviously going to be a lot of heartwarming moments, a lot of, tugging on the heartstrings as well. But, I just wanted to highlight one of those movies that's, just gives you that positive experience where you can forget about all the negative crap that we got to deal with in our real world and just escape for a little bit and just watch something positive where it has, a good, I'm sure, I did not check this in ahead of time, but I'm sure it has a good, positive, happy ending that people can, enjoy with the movie. So I just wanted to highlight one of those. Didn't know anything about it, but, saw it on the schedule, and it's just, it's one of those movies that, it's, if you need a happy escape, this should be that. A Dog's Way Home should be able to provide it. And coming up next in January, talk about Glass. And so this is the continuation of the story that started in Unbreakable with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson in 2000, and that story that started there and leading into Split from 2016, and that continues and leads into the story here with Glass. So I haven't seen Split. I didn't realize that it was connected to Unbreakable. It looked like an intriguing movie, but I just, I didn't really, I wasn't really in the mood for kidnapping story movies and stories. Kind of bother me. I don't know. It's just, to me, sometimes I just don't really enjoy watching them don't really enjoy watching them as entertainment, but it's I don't know. I'm not saying I don't. I mean, I watch the Taken movies. It's just, to me, it's just, I know that there's too much of that going on in realities that it bothers me. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me think about, the people, just, it's happening too much in reality. I'm not in a position where I can, do something, en masse to stop things like that. So movies like with kidnapping and stuff, they always, I need a really intriguing story and something to really draw me in before I'm going to watch. And this movie looked like it was just really well done, and I just, with the way things were at the time, I just didn't really feel like jumping into a movie like that, so I did not watch it. But I'm gonna have to check it out because I didn't realize it was connected to this story. And I'm interested in seeing Glass because I watched Unbreakable, and I'm not as big a fan of it as some people seem to be. It seems to be like a movie some people really, really love, but I liked it when I saw it. But I wouldn't put it on my favorite movie list, but still looking forward to see the story continue. And the trailer I watched of it looked awesome. Samuel L. Jackson had an incredible performance in Unbreakable, and it looks like he's going to knock it out of the park in this one. Bruce Willis did a great job in the first one, and Bruce Willis, one of the greatest actors of all time, so he's he'll be ready to bring it. But yeah, so the Unbreakable, Split, and this movie are all connected. So if you haven't seen the first two, probably a good idea to go check them out. But I'm sure they presented it in a way where you don't necessarily need to see the other two before you watch this one, but you know, would be a good idea. And the first Unbreakable is a great movie, and I heard nothing but good things about Split. So we're gonna I'll have to check that out before I see Glass. But it's you know, one of a really unique, interesting twist and take on superhero stories. So you know, hopefully people check it out, and it, you know, it gets money. So that if there is more room for story, they can keep it going. And last movie I'll highlight in January was another one I didn't know anything about, but until I started doing research for this, but looks kind of interesting. The Kid Who Would Be King, and you know, it looks like a kind of an old school fantasy type story. You know, just did a little research to see what the plot is about. It's about a kid that tracks down and finds Excalibur, you know, King Arthur's sword, the famous mythical sword, and he ends up joining up with a group of knights and Merlin, the wizard, and they do battle with a villain that wants to threaten the future of mankind, obviously. So, looks like it's you know, a good fun story, and Patrick Stewart is one of the actors in it, and obviously enough said there, I think. But looks like it'll be, you know, there's not a whole lot coming in January that I saw that I wanted to highlight. So you know, this you know, I didn't really this one wasn't on my radar at all. But once I read a little bit about it and saw some of the actors, you know, it looks like it'll be a fun story, and looks like they did a good job in bringing everything together for the big screen. So it's you know, with January being in the the heart of the winter drag, I think I'll probably end up trying to get out to the theater and check this one out. So it's the Kid Who Would Be King. You know, may not be on many people's radar, but you know, hopefully people check it out if it looks good to them. Looked good to me, so I'm gonna try and check it out when it's for its theater run. Heading into February, we got the Lego Movie 2. It's like right on. The first Lego movie was absolutely amazing. Everything is awesome. Apologies to people that thought that song was gone from their heads forever. Because I'm sure if you watched that movie, you were singing "Everything is Awesome" for the next few weeks. But man, this movie has a high bar to hit. You know, that first movie was really a lot of people loved it. It did, you know, huge box office, but for a good reason. Like, the voice cast was so wide, such a wide variety. But man, they did a great job with bringing it. It was just underrated, really funny. Like, I, you know, laughed all the way through, and, you know, fun story to follow. So it's looking forward to seeing the second movie. But I think they got another good voice cast to continue with this one, so I think they should be able to hit that high bar. And hopefully, with the release of this second movie, we get these the first movie released on Steelbook, and then the second movie with a good Steelbook when it comes out. Because man, the first movie, you'd think that would be a no-brainer to have a good Steelbook release, but I don't think the first Lego movie ever got a legitimate worldwide Steelbook release. The only ones I think it got were the premium releases, and even those I think were only maybe one or two. So it's a shame, because it was an amazing movie everyone loved. That, you know, with obviously being an animated movie, the art and stuff is perfect for a Steelbook release, but never really got it. Excuse me. So hopefully with the second movie coming out, you know, the second movie gets a good Steelbook with really good art, and then they release the first one to kind of go along with that. But first one was a really fun, funny movie. So hopefully this one is able to hit that bar and even push it higher, because, excuse me, you can never have too many funny movies, and you can never have too many, you know, just those fun animated movies to watch where you put it on and just escape for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever. So next movie coming up in February to highlight, like I say, the first chunk of the year is a little few and far between as far as the movies being released. So, but one that caught my eye was What Men Want. Once I saw the title, I'm like, I wonder if that's like the What Women Want movie, that Mel Gibson movie that was, I think late '90s, maybe early 2000s. I forget when it was, the exact year it was released, but that movie, that was an actually fun, kind of funny movie with, the things he was hearing in women's head and things, and how he was reacting. And it's a, I haven't heard about that movie in a long, long time. So, but it's definitely a fun movie to watch if you haven't seen it. But I don't know if this is a direct sequel to that, but it's definitely the same sort of thing. A woman gets the ability to hear men's thoughts, man, and this could either be absolute comedy gold or a big fat dud. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to pull this off. But man, a woman being able to hear men's thoughts could be absolute comedy gold. So I'm intrigued to see if they're able to, what kind of comedy they're able to bring out with this concept. But it's but like I say, the first one was kind of fun with that, with how Mel Gibson being able to hear what the women's thoughts. So, be interesting to see if they're able to capture that same kind of comedy and bring in some good box office. Last one to highlight for February, the third installment and How to Train Your Dragon. This one, The Hidden World. Love, love, love these movies. And they finally just got legitimate steelbook releases. Unfortunately, they're 4K, not 3D, but gotta take them at this point, because I don't think the second one even got a steelbook release, and the first one, once again, I don't think it got the only worldwide release it got had basically all the printing on the back. So it was people want good front art and good rear art. So that steelbook was kind of a throwaway, but I don't think either of them got a legitimate worldwide release. I think the only ones they got were like premium ones, but even those were maybe like I said with the Lego Movie, those were maybe one or two, and those premium ones are just ridiculously some of them are ridiculously hard to get, unfortunately. Even me, I have a few ways to try and get some of these releases, but kind of got screwed out of getting my Infinity War premium release. So one of the sites is dead to me, at least right now. I don't care. I'm bitter and I'm holding a grudge, but that is another topic. But the How to Train Your Dragon, the first two movies finally got legit steelbook releases, so I'm really happy to see that. But these movies are great. Are a great story. They're really visually stunning, especially if you have 3D. Whether you saw them in the theater or if you have 3D at home, just like visually stunning and just really just fun, entertaining movies to watch. And like I say, they have a great story, and I love just love the dragon stuff. It gives you a lot of flying scenes to really get the visuals going. But so I can't wait for this one. I'll be out in the theaters to see this in 3D. Hopefully it gets a lot of support in the box office, so they can keep these movies coming if they feel like there's still story there, because it's just such a fun experience to put on the 3D glasses and get into that world. And then finally, so last month we'll talk about March. And first movie coming up in March, Captain Marvel, another installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I gotta be honest, I knew nothing about Captain Marvel. No information. I didn't know who she was, what she did, what her powers were, who the villains she battled. Like literally, absolutely nothing. So that the little the cliffhanger scene at the deleted scene where he now obviously I'm spacing on him. Samuel L. Jackson's character, Paige is Captain Marvel, and she answers the page right as he disappears. But so it didn't really didn't really have as big of an impact on me as I'm sure it did most people that are familiar with the comics. But since I knew nothing about her or like anything about her, I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So for anybody else that's not exactly up to date on who Captain Marvel is and what she does, I just wanted to I looked up what her powers are basically just to give people an example or and I just to give people an idea of what she is and what to expect. Her powers are superhuman strength and durability. She can fly by the speed of, she can fly by the 6 times the speed of sound. She has a sixth sense. She can discharge blasts of energy from her fingertips, and she can also absorb energy to make her energy blasts more powerful. At one point, she was able to use binary powers to control things like heat, electromagnetics, gravity, but that's that's getting into some crazy stuff. So we'll just keep it at the things like, um, superhuman strength and durability and flying 6 times the speed of sound. We'll just keep it to those types of things. But she had her DNA bound with one of the characters, Mar-Vell, which I think was didn't really. I was already. I was keeping it at Captain Marvel, the stuff that I was researching, but it's a pretty cool backstory for the character and pretty cool powers, and obviously obviously someone that's obviously a force to reckon with, force to be reckoned with when it comes to superheroes. So basically, Captain Marvel can kick all kinds of ass, and the Avengers are certainly going to need her help when it comes to dealing with Thanos in the second part of the Infinity War. So you can see why. God, what is his name in the movie? Samuel L. Jackson's character. You can see why he sent out the call for her and why it's so significant that she answered. So looking forward to seeing this movie to get the Captain Marvel character established and see her battle the villains that are in her universe. So it's looking forward to this one, even though I knew nothing about her at the start. I'm glad that glad for these like winter movie previews and things like that, so I can learn about some things that I didn't know before. And I really didn't have any reason to look forward to Captain Marvel now, but now I'm kind of looking forward to March to getting out to the theater to see this one. And Infinity War Part 2 will be coming in a few short months after that. I think it only a month or two, so it'll be a great way to get ready for Infinity War Part 2. And establish one of the characters that's probably going to have a big role in Infinity War Part 2. So looking forward to seeing Captain Marvel. Second movie highlight in March, Wonder Park. This is an animated movie, and this one's about an amusement park that brings to life the wildly creative imagination of a little girl named June. And just a great chance for the family to get out to the movies and have a good fun afternoon. And I don't think this is I'm pretty sure this isn't Disney, Pixar, or anything like that. So, it's a chance to see get an offering from a different animation studio, and because getting the same one, you're getting the same styles and same you're just getting the same over and over again. Whereas another animated studio can give you a different, even just a few minor differences can go a long way. So it'd be interesting to see how this story, how they're able to play this story out on screen, and if it can bring in the box office that, some of the other Disney movies can. But it looks like it has a good story, and in the wildly creative imagination of a little girl bringing to life an amusement park, like lots of potential for a good, fun, entertaining story. So hopefully they do a good job with that one. Next movie we'll highlight from March, Greyhound, and this is a World War II war movie. This one's produced by Tom Hanks, and he's also starring in it. So man, sign me up for anything Tom Hanks. He's delivered so many entertaining movies for me over the years that he's another guy that has my loyalty for forever. I'll go, and Tom Hanks is such an enjoyable guy to watch on screen no matter what, because he just makes it so easy to lose yourself in that world. He's such a great actor. And, I'm really, obviously one of the greatest World War II movies of all time, Saving Private Ryan. Tom Hanks is a part of that, and so it's gonna be awesome to see him back, telling another war story. And it's important for these stories to be told, and for great actors and for significant actors that can draw in eyes and people to watch, just draw in interest for the movies. It's important for them to tell important stories like this. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out on the screen. This is about war. It's about the Nazi U-boats pursuing a convoy of Allied ships at the start of World War II. So obviously it's gonna basically a chase movie in a war during the war at sea. So stakes are obviously life and death. So it should be an easy movie for them to create an interesting story for. Um, war at sea movies is another kind of thing that they just make me uncomfortable just because of the brutality of them, and how just how some of these soldiers died, and just being in these ships and being trapped, and I just don't. It just makes me uncomfortable sometimes. It doesn't really doesn't entertain me to where I want to watch it and put myself in that world. But I do, because it's important, and the real people went through these awful, brutal situations. So it's important for me to understand and appreciate what they went through, and so that to try to bring that to the real world, so we don't put anybody else in those situations, so they have to go through things like that. And that means creating a world where we're not, constantly at war, which is the world we live in now. The war machine never stops, never ends. But it's important to watch movies like this, like Greyhound, so we can see the stories and appreciate what people went through to try and build the society we have now, and appreciate the veterans that are still around, that live through the experiences like this. So I'm glad that another World War II movie is coming through, and hopefully it does good box office, so as many people as possible in our modern world can appreciate it, and appreciate the sacrifices and the real stories of the real people that actually went through it. And the last movie to highlight in March, and in our winter movie preview here, is going to be the live action adaptation of Dumbo. And I think that's a pretty good way to close out the kind of winter movie season. Like I say, it's going to be the live action version of Dumbo. And I love this movie as an animated classic. It's one of the movies that put Disney on the map. It's a great fun story that tugs at the heartstrings, but has a great happy ending. So, excuse me. And all these live action movies that they've been trying to do have been really good. Done a great job at adapting them from the cartoon form to bringing them to the big screen, and to the live physical action. So I don't think this one going to be any different. I think it's a great story to tell, and they have the technology now to be able to present Dumbo in a realistic way. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get out to the theater and watch it. And the only thing I wish is one of the things that I saw highlighted. I don't know if it was about Dumbo or another one of the upcoming live action movies, but just some of the original creators and writers that created some of the original iconic lines and songs and things like that. Their work is being used again, but they're not given any more. They're not being given any of the piece of the pie of these new movies. And these movies are doing big box office. There's a big pie. There's a lot of pieces to go around. So I wish some of the original contributors got a little bit. I mean, and their piece is not going to be as big as it was the first time, because even though they're not technically contributing at this time, but their contributions are being used, so they deserve some compensation. So hopefully they're able to work something out to compensate some of the original contributors a little bit more than they are right now, because these live action movies are, it's great to be able to have both an animated and live version of the same story. So we want them to keep coming. We want the positive, good energy to stay around them. So things like not properly compensating people that contributed to the stories and stuff, things like that are going to just create negative energy and kill off the positives. So hopefully they find a way to compensate everyone. So everybody can be happy, and these movies can, keep coming, and we just all benefit, because it's just cool. Like I say, it's just cool to have the both an animated and live action version of the same story. So want to see them keep coming. I want to see Dumbo do well, and I'll definitely be in theaters to check it out. But that brings us to the end of our winter movie preview. It's not as big and flashy and as exciting as the summer, but still lots of good movies in there. And like I say, I know I missed tons of good dramas and comedies and things like that. I didn't highlight any of the horror and thriller types. So if I'm sure I missed some that I would enjoy and appreciate. But lots of people out there that do. So not just the movies I talked about that are out there. There's a big palette of movies to choose from. So, go out, support the movies in theater, support the movie industry, because it's one of the best escapes. It's one of the greatest forms of entertainment. It creates jobs for so many people, and it's just. It's such a great legacy for human beings to have all these amazing stories on movies and TV, and just put everything just but movies are such a great medium to tell a story and to leave a legacy as human beings for generations, for till the end of time, if we can if we work on keeping things preserved, and keeping things rocking and rolling. So keep supporting movies. Go out to the theater to support movies that you enjoy, that interest you and enjoy, so that the movie industry just can stay strong, and we can keep getting being entertained like we are, and just bring the movie experience to the next level, not keep having to roll it back. But I really think that now cannabis is legal in Canada, so hopefully now we're hopefully not very far away from cannabis friendly theaters, and I think that's really going to help create another boom for movie theaters. But the more great movies they keep putting out, the more people are gonna have a reason to go out to the theaters. So there's a bunch. They provided us a bunch of good opportunities to see great movies for this winter schedule. So hopefully people get out and support them and everything. And Steelbooks, man, studios, please keep releasing great Steelbooks for new releases and catalog titles. But oh man, it's like Steelbook collecting is frustrating at times, for being able to get your hands on, certain titles, but for just ridiculous reasons, like, man, it's not hard to figure out what kind of art the masses would love and would make people want to buy. It is just not hard at all, but it seems like people go out of their way to figure that out and then give the opposite. Give minimalistic crap, give art that makes no sense, give it that's just like, you can tell they're doing it to save money and just cheap reasons. Like, Steelbook are something that people will spend money on if the quality is there. So, it's just take the time to figure out what kind of art people would appreciate, and deliver that, because it is just frustrating to get to, like The Incredibles. The worldwide art is just ridiculous. Just give us a good, fun, flashy, colorful Steelbook, like the cover, and like that's what people want, but it's just like, but what they delivered is just like, I just don't get it. But Steelbooks are, for me, that, man, this is my art. It's like you can pick it up, and it's like you get lost in the especially especially the Disney ones, the well done. It's like, like, for example, the Disney Alice in Wonderland Steelbook that was released by Zavvi. Check that out, and it's like, you just get that and you're completely lost in the story and the colors and just like the characters on it's just like, man, it's just, for me, like a great Steelbook. You pick it up and get lost in the story of whatever movie it is that was telling, all those energies and emotions that you felt from watching the movie. You pick it up. That's kind of what you start to get into when you're looking at a Steelbook. So it's for me, the movie, the disc has to be in it, because that's the heart and soul, man. It's without the disc and an ability to watch the movie, it's just a shell, So it's but I know I'm in the minority as far as my love for Steelbook collecting, but it's but for those that for movie fans, and for other steelbook collectors out there. That I definitely know they feel my pain when it comes to the frustrations as far as the art for steelbooks, because it could be so much greater, and they sell out with stuff. They'd sell them out like that, but it's just so too often you get the just the art that really underwhelms. So hopefully studios keep releasing steelbooks, keep releasing 3D steelbooks, please. But put a little bit of effort into figuring out what kind of art everyone wants, and then delivering that, because it helps out your movie, it helps out upcoming releases, it just helps out everything. So it's my little rant to finish it off, but that brings us to the end of the winter movie preview and the video. Hopefully everybody had a great summer. Hopefully, everybody that gets into the winter months has a great winter. It's not too much of a brutal grind, but we're ready for it. We're tough, and like I say, it could be worse. So, just once again, just want to send out my strongest love and prayers to everybody dealing with the fires in California, and hopefully they get them put out, and people can start rebuilding and get their homes back, get back to normal, and get back to being able to get out and enjoy the movies and escape from the negativity of real life and jump into just a fun story. So hopefully they get these fires put out and everybody can get back on track and get back at home soon. All my strongest prayers and love sent out to you guys. So that'll bring us to the end. Thank everyone for coming along for the ride, and we'll see you soon down the road. Much love and God bless. Peace.